Okay, moving on to our assignment number 2 for this week. We're going to be doing the same kind of thing that we did with the perspective cubes, showing black and white shading, but we're going to do it with our chair drawing this time. So we're doing black and white shading for our perspective cubes and our perspective chair. Now, the chair is a little bit more complicated, right? We've got a lot more sides to it. You guys have all different kinds of chairs, different details in the chair, stuff like that. If you have a very ornate chair design, don't freak out. We don't need to do every single little curve and detail in that, but we are going to try to capture, each side of each element. And so I have a chair here that is a bit more standard. It's some of you may have simpler ones that are just a flat seat, 4 legs, and a flat back. Lucky you, because that'll be easier. In this case, we have some design here, some different slats here for the back, and some rails along the legs of the base. And so I'm going to actually spend the time to capture each side of each of these. Now, granted, having your original picture of your chair nearby in your workspace will be really helpful because it'll help you kind of see, have a reference of how each side is lit, right? I mean, the light source you decide may not be exactly the same, but at least gives you an idea of, it just helps. It helps to have a visual reference showing the different sides of the 3D shape. Now, we're going to do the same thing we did with the projective cubes. We're going to define our light source, and then in the next video, we're going to start shading. So that next video will be a bit longer than the previous one because we have a lot more to shade here. But I'm going to go through it all anyway, just that way if you guys do want to follow along and want to just kind of have that to lean on to see how it's done, then you can do that. But if you feel comfortable after what you did with their cubes and you just want to tackle it yourself, then by all means, go ahead. So I'm just going to establish my light source first like we did for the cube. So I'm going to go over to the left side, click and hold down my shape tool. I'm going to select polygon. I am going to zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to hold down shift, click and drag. And remember, I have that little knob here to add sides. I just like to do 10 because I just think it's fun. Kind of makes you think of like a sun, I'm going to go to the right side to my color panel. Make sure I'm in CMYK, which I am. You can just click anywhere on a slider to establish a color. And then I'll just adjust from there. I'm going to make it a little more orange again so we can see it better on the white. I'm going to put it over here and take my on the left, I'm going to take my pen tool, select the center, drag a line down. And that's where my light source is. Of course, again, you can have your light source coming from any direction if you want. In this case, having it point directly down into the seat of the chair is probably the easiest way to approach it. But if you want to do it from the side or the back or anything like that, then by all means, that'd be cool. So we're not getting into shadows a whole lot right now. Maybe at the end we'll do, just for kicks, we'll do a little shadow on the ground. But for the moment, we're just focused on the lighting in the seat because that is actually the easiest for us to do. So let's go ahead and make this 3 points in my stroke. Go back to my color panel. Remember, that was my stroke panel, by the way, going back, stroke panel. If you don't have that, go up to window. All the panels you need are under window if you don't see any that I have here. And I'm going to hit that swap arrow and make sure the fill color is none. Great. Now, I forgot to do my layers first, so we're going to go ahead and do those now. I'm going to make an image. I'm going to do lines. I'm going to call this layer lines. I'm going to make 2 more. I'm going to do an image layer. I'm going to do a shading layer. And here's why. I'm going to take this image here, put it on my image layer, the photo of the chair. I'm going to bring that down at the bottom. So that way I can control whether or not I see that picture. I'll lock it just in case. I'm going to take my light source, put that in my shading layer. So that way, you look at my lines layer. Look at all these lines. Whew, a lot of layers there. So that way I don't have to try to scroll through this every time I want to hide or show my picture or stuff like that. I don't have to look through it for my light source. Just keep it organized because once you get to having a lot of shapes, that's a lot to scroll through. I have been in projects where I have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. You don't want to have to do that. So lock these, and I'll put the shading underneath my lines. So that way, as I fill it out, I can still see the outline of the chair. And that's that. So let's go ahead. Remember, I'm going to lock these two layers for my light source on the bottom. I'm not going to lock the whole layer because I'm adding shapes to that. But I'm going to lock the light source layers separately. So that way I don't click this and move it anywhere. And I can't click this photo and move it anywhere. So that's how I'm going to deal with that. Yeah, so you got your light source, you got your line drawing, you've got your photo. Our layers are nice and organized. So in the next video, we can go ahead and start shading this whole chair.